everybody. It's Dr. Brooke Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and it's Wellness Wednesday, and I have a treat for you. I'm here with my husband, Thomas Tadlock, and what I thought we could do today is I dragged him over here so that I could ask him the top questions that I get from all of you about exercise, fat loss, and fitness. Listen, I've learned a lot. We've been together 20 years, and I could answer so many of them for him, but it's not the same as getting it from the source. Thomas has been an expert in fitness and nutrition, for metabolism, for health, for a very long time, since before I met him. And he has trained the trainers. You've traveled to how many different gyms around the country teaching people, teaching trainers?
Well, I know I can't count the number of gyms, but I know I've trained over 1,000 personal trainers in my career.
Including training the person who is now
Who was Oprah's
Oprah
personal trainer,
Winfrey's personal trainer.
and Britney Spears' personal trainer.
And the strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles
Angels of Anaheim.
Anaheim. And
Yes.
so he's the guy that the trainers go to when they're stuck or when they need information on how to help people lose fat, get ripped, get strong. So I'm very lucky to have him here because when I did his program almost 20 years ago, not only did I lose the weight that I wanted to lose and get strong and fit, but I also lost lupus. In October, it'll be 20 years I'm lupus free. So what he's teaching is not just about getting fit, but getting healthy. And that's the difference from there's a lot of programs and things you can do to get thin, get ripped, but it might be unhealthy. So he's awesome. And I love you so much. And I'm
And you too.
so happy that you came over here. He's busy, but he's doing this as a favor for me and for all of you. So what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of questions that I get all the time, either in my Wellness Wednesdays or online, about exercise and fitness. And if you would share your thoughts about it, that would be so cool. So,
Okay,
all
let's
right,
do
you
it.
ready? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I can get a good one here. Okay. I get this one a lot. People are trying to lose weight, and so they start walking. Right. And they go, I'm going to walk my way thin. So I was just talking to someone yesterday, and she's overweight. She's about 100 pounds overweight. And she did a program she found online where she was walking every day. And she said she felt better overall, but she didn't lose any weight. And so what she did is she stopped working out completely. Stop walking, stop working out. A lot of people choose walking. Why is it that walking doesn't work for everyone? Or what is it that about walking that makes it not very good for fat loss?
For the most part, it works really well for folks that have a ton of weight to lose. Reason is because, so I was recently talking to a client who has probably about 150 pounds to lose. And when she started walking every day, I asked her, I said, I want you to try to walk every single day. And this is someone who doesn't walk at all. She's mostly sedentary. And so to get out there and walk was a big change. But the moment she did, within a week, she started losing 1 pound and 2 pounds. And then the next week after that, 3, 4, and it started really accelerating the more she walked. And she built her fitness up so that she could do a 1-hour walk every single day. So 7 hours of walking a week was just knocking lots of weight off of her. It's like she was probably taking off about 10 to 20 pounds per month now. Wow. With her diet. But that didn't last for very long. After a few more months and her weight coming down, it started to really slow down. And the reason is because when you take a typical person, let's say a typical female, and they weigh, let's say, around 200, 250 pounds, well, the truth is they're actually a 120-pound person who's carrying an extra 100 pounds of weight. So for them, if you've ever carried 100 pounds on your back and you walk for that, you walk with that for a full hour, that's like a full gym workout, like an intense gym session. So that's real hard work. And that's why they get those results. As you start losing weight, and let's say that you're 140 pounds and your goal weight is to be about 120. Well, the way to think about it is that you're actually a 120-pound person who's only carrying an extra 20 pounds of weight. And that's like nothing. I mean, wearing a backpack full of some books, that's kind of the equivalent of what it is. And that's no big deal for your body. So when you walk for an hour, it's just not a lot of resistance compared to the person who's got 100 pounds or so to lose. So you'll see this. Folks that have a lot of weight to lose, walking is extremely effective. But what happens is as you start losing weight, it becomes less and less effective only because there's less extra weight that you're carrying around. And on top of that, though, So there's a rule in fitness that if you want to keep progressing, and this includes weight loss, you want to keep progressing just like you want to keep progressing in strength, you got to keep making it harder for yourself. Walking is one of those things where, first of all, we're really good at it. We've been doing it since we're 2 years old. And so that's one physical skill that I can say everybody's mastered. And what that means is that you've learned how to do it so efficiently and effectively where you can actually be very productive in a walk, but do it in a way that burns as few calories as humanly possible. So as you lose weight, the walking becomes less effective because you're burning less calories. The second thing is, because you're walking more, your nervous system is becoming better and better at making little micro adjustments to make the walking take less and less energy from just efficiency and better biomechanics. So for those two reasons, walking becomes very quickly less and less effective. So you need to figure out an alternative means. Once you realize your walking is no longer producing weight loss results, you have to figure out a way to step up your exercise.
So what would be a really simple way to step up your exercise? So for the person I was telling you about that, not really getting results with walking, not ready to do a lot more, what could you do with even just walking that would make it, maybe take it to the next level?
Well, one way is, assuming that your knees are okay and that you're able to do this, is you progress the walking. What's the natural progression of walking? That's jogging. And then the natural progression of that is running. And then the natural progression to that is adding in sprints and intervals and so on and so forth. Then there's also adding the weight vest, and that's just from the running progression. At that point, when I get clients that are having trouble losing weight from just walking alone, that's where I introduce them to doing some resistance training. And so a lot of times it means going to the gym for the first time or signing up for a boot camp with a professional instructor that can oversee them, make sure they're doing the movements in a way that aren't creating any potential for injury, and also, most importantly, making it enjoyable. So adding resistance training into the routine is the next progression when you basically are seeing that walking is becoming less and less productive.
I've also seen you do it. Like, I remember when your dad, when you were training him and he didn't want to do exercise, you got him to walk. And when you needed to progress him, you just kind of had him raise the incline on the treadmill.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was
making
like a little bit harder.
that makes the walking harder. And that's what you need to do. My dad had about 100 pounds that he needed to lose. And so just basic walking on a treadmill was productive for him. And as he was losing the weight, and we already saw the weight loss was going to start slowing down as he started losing a lot more weight, he had to make it harder. But he realized that he could do that with a treadmill using the incline function on it and also going faster. That's the other way you can do this too. So with your walking is increase the amount of distance that you go for the same amount of time that you're working out.
Those speed walkers that you see going.
Yeah, it works. It makes it harder.
Okay, here's one that I hear all the time. How do I get motivated to exercise? People all the time, they want to get motivated so that they can go exercise.
The most effective way that I know is you have to get the ball rolling. And it's that initial period that is the most difficult psychologically. Here's the reason, because once you start working out, especially when the workouts are hard, and you know this because you sweat a lot, and then if you finish the workout kind of feeling, I don't ever want to do that again, that means you actually did it right. That's correct. Because what happens is, so high physically rigorous activity stimulates a release of dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain. Those are two chemicals that can actually get you addicted to the very thing that caused that. Just the same way food stimulates dopamine and it makes you addicted to food. As you do exercise and you do it enough and intense enough, you can create a similar addiction to exercise, which what that means is when you're in an exercise addiction, exercise becomes a need and not something that you have to willpower yourself to do. So in order to do that, you got to figure out what psychological tactic is going to work the best for you. So for people who aren't exercising at all, I say, oh, let's start with the walk. That'll just get the ball rolling. For those people that are walking already, but they can't get themselves to make it harder than that, then I recommend signing up for some guided programs. I get a lot of people that say, well, can you give me a routine that I can do on my own in my house? And my question is, well, why aren't you doing that already?
You could use YouTube. Anything.
You're not doing that
Right,
already.
But you're starting, right?
And it's not because of a lack of knowledge, because when you're starting off on a workout program, it doesn't matter what you do. Any form of activity that's hard or rigorous, it's going to get you results. That's the beauty of it. Is in the beginning, it doesn't matter how you do it. Just any form of high intensity exercise or activity is going to produce some great results. So you're not doing it because you're not in the habit of doing it. And if you're not in the habit of doing it, then there's a good chance you're going to fail just doing your own little thing. And when I say fail, I mean you might go for a few days and then it'll just peter out. I find people that sign up for a program like a boot camp or a class, that works like magic, because there's a lot of factors pushing you to go once you take the leap. So, for example, putting your money down and paying for a program, there's a party that says, ooh, I don't want to waste my investment. So when it gets hard, by day 4, when a lot of people start talking themselves out of going, you've got that reminder that you plunked down a certain amount of money to go to this thing. Even if it was like a special off a Groupon, you paid $25 to get like a week free or like a week of boot camp or something. Still, it's $25. A lot of people use that to say, you know what, I don't want to throw my $5 down the toilet for that day that I miss. The second thing is there's the human aspect of it. There's the accountability. So to know that there's at least one person, which is the instructor, who's expecting you to show up and kind of rooting for you to be there, that is a really powerful thing, because not only the instructor, but also anybody else. I highly recommend doing small group or large group type of things because of this social aspect, is that there's people there that you meet and internally you kind of feel like you're letting them down, or even might fear a little bit of embarrassment of not showing up and then having to deal with the potential embarrassment of showing up after missing a day. Those type of fears can be productive to help push you into the habit of exercise. And then here's what happens. You get past that first week, the second week becomes way easier than the first week. Like the ability to go, believe it or not, your fitness level goes up a little bit. The exercises that you're doing that you're finding difficulty with, they're going to get easier by the second week. And then by the third week and fourth week, you're kind of on your way to being able to pull this off on your own. You'll find most people will find themselves getting up, looking forward to their workout every day. And before you know it, after a full solid month of this, you're kind of driving this behavior all by yourself. And it's more or less automatic at that point. It just is part of your daily routine. And that's kind of the end goal for exercise. Is not even the weight loss. That's going to be the side effect of doing the habit of exercise, working out almost every single day and eating right. But the exercise part, once you turn that into a habit, it's inevitable. You're going to achieve your goal. It's going to happen because now it's part of your daily routine.
What I'm hearing you say is that the only way to get motivated to exercise is to exercise until you're motivated.
Yeah. What I'm trying to point out, it's that initial push. It's like trying to move a massive boulder. It takes an enormous amount of like psychological and mental energy to just put this thing in motion. But just like a boulder, it's like once it starts moving, it's actually hard to stop. So that's kind of what it's like when you're starting an exercise program. So the motivation has to kind of obviously comes from within, but I want you to just know that it's just, you got to just get it started. It's a lot of people, they stop themselves before they even start because in their mind, they think they're going to have to invest this enormous amount of willpower on a daily basis for the next 3 years. And what I'm trying to tell you is that actually it's way easier than you think. You only have to invest this enormous amount of willpower for probably the first 3 to 5 days, and then it takes over. Then you get this emotional momentum that is driving your behavior now and making it less and less difficult.
It's the same thing for, whether you're changing your diet, whether you're exercising. It's that if you put down your money, if you have a coach to keep you accountable, if you have community, those are the keys to getting yourself going. And that's why I love boot camp. We have everything I need to work out here, but I also have my office here. And so whenever I have free time, I'm in my office. I'm, something I can work on, or I want to relax, but I don't go to the gym, but I sign up for my boot camp and I go in the mornings. And we were on vacation. I came back and 6 people came up to me, "Where have you been? What's been going on?" The trainer texted me, "Are you coming back?" And it was cool, like, they miss me, they care about me, and it felt really good to be back, and it's like this nice little social time in addition to they push me harder than I would ever push myself at home. So yeah, it's awesome, awesome stuff. Okay, so this is one that happens a lot because I see a lot of people who have disabilities. They've got autoimmune diseases. They're weak. They haven't been out of bed. A lot of times have, I call it head, shoulders, knees, and toes. They have all these different areas that hurt, and so then they think they can't exercise. And so I know you've worked with people with disabilities. You work with people. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
I
get
thought
that
you
a
were
lot.
trained
I mean,
someone who was
there's
shot, right?
yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
but if we were to think of like the common folks that we help,
mhm,
RA is a big thing. So
right.
RA affects certain joints in a lot of people's bodies, and it basically prevents their ability to perform certain movements. And that can lead a person to think that, oh, I just can't exercise at all. So what you want to do is look at what you still have left that is still usable. Because at the end of the day, like really what it comes down to is when we're trying to exercise to either get healthier, improve our heart, increase our strength, we have to just contract some muscle tissue. That's all we have to really do. So if you have RA, for example, and you suffer from pains, there's a type of movement that you can do that doesn't require any motion at all. It's called isometric training. And what that means is that a great example of an exercise for that, and don't take this to mean that I want you to do this, because some people shouldn't, but like if you've ever seen a plank, just you're on your elbows and you're supporting your body off the ground. In yoga, it's a very classic move right there. That's an isometric exercise. You're contracting like crazy and it's hard. And your muscles, after a while start to shake and shiver and you'll start to sweat. And meanwhile, zero movement actually happened. There's no movement in the joints whatsoever. So believe it or not, you can do isometric exercises for every single body part
So what does
in your
isometric
body.
mean? It means that you're contracting, but you're not
ISO.
moving, no reps. Right.
ISO means like it's isometric, so that it's isolated but without movement. There's no movement whatsoever. So like what I was trying to say, it's like holding a plank position for a period of time. So you can hold a dumbbell, let's say, if you have arthritis in your elbow, for example, and this movement kind of hurts. Well, there's no reason to say that if you determine that, but as long as I don't move this joint, I don't try to straighten the arm and I can keep it bent like this, well, then you can apply a lot of force by holding a really heavy dumbbell just in this position right here and not letting it go and tiring out the bicep muscle, for example, or you got like a cable or a band, you're just holding it tight. You can even have someone bring the dumbbell or the cable to you and you just hold it there. And so you can't hold it any longer. Again, there's no movement going on in the joint. You can stress the muscles and you can design an entire workout like that. I guess without being able to demonstrate it, the easiest advice that I have is you go to YouTube, and I've done this so many times for clients that are suffering from rheumatoid arthritis or they have certain injuries and they can't move certain joints. It's not like they can do a squat or they can't do traditional type of bodybuilding exercises. I say, okay, just simply type in the body part and add the word isometric exercises. And I swear you're going to find hundreds of different exercises for each body part. And if you don't know what body part, just type isometric exercises or isometric workouts, and you will find hundreds and hundreds of examples that you can just follow along and do that will give you ideas. And my recommendation is just try them all. Try every one, because here's what's going to happen. If you find an exercise that actually hurts, you'll know it. The moment you try the exercise, it'll give you a little bit of an ouch. And all you do is just don't do that exercise, move on to the next. Don't be afraid to try different exercises, even if they might cause a little bit of pain. Just eliminate the exercises that cause the pain rather than trying to predict too much what you think may or may not work. You might be surprised. I find people are more surprised that they're able to do even more than they realized because they gave it a shot.
I'm guessing you could also just try, without weight or very light. You don't have to pick up a heavy weight and test your joint. You could just kind of test positions that don't hurt and kind of work on that. And of course, hiring a trainer or getting a physical therapist, if you've got a lot of injuries, that's the safest thing that you can do. But we've had folks that are able to do a lot, or if they have, you have bad knees, you can sit down and you can do other things. So don't be afraid to do something, move what you can. I once worked with a lady, she was in a nursing home, and her kids used to hold the FaceTime camera over her head. And I would just have her move like her neck, lift her arms off the bed, lift her feet off the bed, anything. Just, you have to move something.
If you can hire a trainer to develop an isometric routine for you. I have a lot of folks that when I pitch this idea to them, they're like, I'm not rich. I can't afford a personal trainer. And I tell them, no, it's not about hiring a personal trainer to work with you every single day. The idea is to use a personal trainer that can go through every single different body part, muscle group, and main movement and see what you're able to do and what you can't. And then at the end, develop a full routine, a whole menu of exercises that you can do, and the reps, or you're not going to do reps, but the time that you spend, the number of sets that you do, and how often you should do the routine so that you can execute it on your own. So the idea is hire a trainer for 1 to 3 sessions, have them build out a routine for you, because every routine that a trainer comes up with for you is going to be productive for anywhere between 4 to 12 weeks. And so once people do that, they realize, oh, now that's the ticket, because I can hire a person that can cater to my current fitness level and my injuries and develop a plan for me that I can progress for the next 4 to 12 weeks. Then I meet with them again to take it to the next level.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. So I hope you enjoyed that. There's even more. We're going to be back next week with the second half of this great session with Thomas Tadlock, all about weight and exercise and fitness and muscle and all those questions, those burning questions you have for him. In the meantime, just a reminder that we do have a rapid recovery group coming up August 22nd that is filling up. If you're interested in that, go to goodbyelupus.com and sign up with us. If not, don't forget, take action on your health today. And we'll see you next Wednesday for the second